This video will show the basics of how to play Astriarch, Ruler of the Stars, and give some tips on how to beat the computer. When first opening the game, you will be presented with this welcome screen that allows you to choose some game options. Enter your name, choose how many computer opponents you want, how many star systems, and how many planets per system. I'll just enter my name and jump right into the game with the default options selected. Once the game has started, you will see the star field with your home planet selected in the top left of the screen, as well as all of the other unexplored planets in the game. On the left side is the status panel, which shows the overall statistics of your empire, as well as some detailed statistics of the selected planet. Notice that if I select an unexplored planet, the status area simply shows the planet name and that it is unexplored. If I select my home planet and click the Planet View button, a window appears which allows me to see more details on the planet and allows me to build new improvements and starships and reassign the population at the planet to different assignments. At the beginning of the game, I find it best to build 3 farms on my home planet. I will select the farm improvement on the left side under Available Items to Build and then click the Add Selected Item to Build queue button 3 times to add 3 farms to the right side build queue. Alternatively, I can double-click the available items on the left to quickly add them to my build queue. Notice that after I build 3 farms, I cannot build anything else because I'm out of gold. Simply adding items to the build queue is not enough to start building, however. I have to reassign some of my population from farming to building. I'll use the sliders at the top of the window to assign all my citizens to be workers. Click the OK button to accept your changes and close the window. Notice that in the status area, the food indicator for my empire shows 10 minus 3 and has turned to yellow, which means I have 10 food and will lose 3 food per turn. It is yellow to highlight for me that I'm losing food each turn. At the beginning of the game, you start with 10 food, so you do not need to produce food for the first few turns. Later in the game, you need to ensure you have enough farmers assigned to planets so your population does not starve. At this point, we can't do anything else, and I'll click the Next Turn button to end my turn. Notice the turn status area above the Planet View buttons. It shows important information about what happened in the year between the last turn and this turn. In this case, the turn status area shows that my home planet built one of the farms that I had placed in the build queue last turn. I'll click the Next Turn button again because there's not much more I can do other than wait for the rest of my farms to build. At the start of the third turn, my second farm is built and the turn status area indicates that my population grew on my home planet. I click the Planet View button and I see that my new citizen has automatically been assigned as a farmer, which is fine because I need to start producing food or my people will starve. I also see that the Planet View window shows that there are 2 farms on the planet and I still have 1 farm left to build in the build queue. Notice that in the status panel, it now shows that my food consumption and production has stabilized now that I have a farmer on the planet. In my next turn, the turn status area shows that I've built my last farm in the queue and there's nothing left for my workers to do. So I'll click the Planet View button. Now I'll add 2 mines to the build queue on my home planet so that I increase the rate at which my miners will mine for ore and iridium, which I'll need in order to build the more advanced improvements in starships. After adding 2 mines to the build queue, I don't have enough resources to build anything else, so I'll reassign workers to be miners using the population adjustment sliders. I decide I want 1 farmer, 2 miners, and 1 worker. I click Next Turn to end my turn and see that I've built 1 mine at the start of turn 5. Next, I want to build a factory on my home planet, which increases the effectiveness of my workers and allows me to build a space platform and destroyers. Since I only have 5 food right now, I'm going to click Next Turn one more time before I change any more assignments on my planet. Since I don't have enough resources to build a factory, I'll change the number of miners on my planet again so that I can get even more ore and iridium each turn. By the next turn, I have enough ore, iridium, and gold to afford a factory, so I'll add it to the build queue. And now I want to assign more workers on the planet so that my factory will be done in a short amount of time. Right now you can see it's going to take 17 turns at my current allotment of 1 worker. So go ahead and change it to 3 workers and 1 farmer. And then click Next Turn. We built our mine. And then the next turn we got a population and we're getting food again. And the next thing I'll usually build is a colony because it'll increase the max amount of population on the planet. I'm going to keep hitting next turn until I either grow population or finish that factory. Since I don't really need 3 farmers on the planet, I'm going to go ahead and increase it to 4 workers so that my factory will be done faster. And then finally I build my first factory, and I'm going to go ahead and build more factories to increase my effectiveness of my workers even more. And now I'm just going to keep hitting next turn, and since in this turn I had population growth, I'm going to once again add another worker. This will make it so that my improvements get built fast enough and I don't starve my people. And you'll notice now I can afford a space platform, and the space platform will allow me to build battleships and cruisers and also provide defense on the planet. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the build queue. Keep hitting next turn. Do the same thing. If I see population growth, add it as a worker. Get that space platform done as fast as possible. And once I finally get it done, you'll see a little icon next to your planet indicating that it now has a space platform. So now what I'm going to do is explore some of the planets around me. So go ahead and start by adding a couple destroyers. I find destroyers are pretty good early in the game for scouting new planets, just because they're a little bit more powerful than scouts and still relatively cheap. And some planets have defense already in the beginning that it is nice to have the destroyers. And I'm going to go ahead and start sending ships to planets. Now how I do that is when I have a ship to send, you'll notice down in the bottom it says select planet to send ships to. And then I select the destination planet. It says 4 parsecs from C3 to C7. 4 parsecs means it's going to take 4 turns. And I'm going to go ahead and use the sliders to add a destroyer to send. And hit OK. And then you'll notice the travel line is there, as well as the indicator of how long it's going to take for the ship to arrive on the planet. Now that I don't have anything else building, I'm going to go ahead and build a more powerful ship. I'll build a cruiser, actually a couple cruisers. I'll hit next turn. And I got my first fleet conflict. It looks like I lost a fleet attacking the planet. It was that planet there. It shows what my fleet strength was and what the enemy fleet strength was, an estimated chance of winning the battle. And it shows how many ships were left over of the enemies. Also, there's this option on the planetary conflict dialog that allows you to not have it automatically pop up each turn. So I usually play with that checked, and if I ever want to actually see the details of a conflict after it's happened, I can always double click on the item in the turn status indicator to pull it back up. So it looks like I built one of my cruisers on my home planet. I'm going to go ahead and send it to that planet that I just lost the conflict at. And it looks like I have nothing left to build there, so I'm going to make sure I have something more. And it looks like I'm kind of low on ore and iridium, so I'm going to boost up the miners a bit so that I can keep the ore and iridium going, so that I can keep my ore machine on track. It looks like I explored another planet, and this time I lost again. There's a few more defenders on this type of planet. So I'm going to go ahead and send a couple of my ships over that way. Send 2 cruisers. And then we'll go ahead and go to the next turn. Looks like I've captured this planet now. And and you'll notice that this is a dead planet, and dead planets have somewhat poor food production, but a pretty good mining production. So we'll use it as mining and kind of a colony planet. So I'll build a mine and a colony there. And now I have a ship here that it's a cruiser, and I can send it on to other planets. But right now I'm just going to keep it for defense there. And then I noticed that I have a build queue empty on my home planet, so I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple destroyers to build. So keep the workers working there. And it looks like on my next turn I've gotten a asteroid belt planet now, and I can look at what the asteroid belt is, and it has really poor food production but really good mineral production. So what I'm going to do here is also build a mine and a colony. Make sure I've got workers set for it, and then I really want to wait for this planet to be captured. I go ahead and send this cruiser over to this planet and send one of my destroyers over here to defend. Nothing in the build queue again, and I'm still not getting enough ore and iridium to build the battleships I want, so I'm going to boost up the miners one more time here until some of my other planets that have more mineral production can build some improvements and start helping me with the minerals. So build a destroyer just so we're building something. And you'll notice now that I have multiple planets, it has this status indicator that says I spent 2 gold shipping food. That's because I have a surplus on my home planet, but some of the other planets don't produce food very fast. So I'm going to need to spend the gold to ship food between the planets, and that's done automatically, but as long as you have enough gold in your surplus, then you're fine. If not, then your people will start to starve and become angry. I have this new planet, and it's an arid planet. This is kind of the second best planet to your home planet. It has pretty good food production and a medium or an iridium production. So I'm going to go ahead and build 2 farms here.